Welcome back to The Mouse and Men, where we explore the grown-up side of Disney. We're on social media at The Mouse and Men. We have a website, themouseandmen.com, so find us online. I am Bradley, one half of your co-casting team, here along with co-caster Chris. Chris, welcome back.
Woohoo!
How are you?
Nice to be back. Oh man, I'm good. Again, when you and I get to do these face-to-face episodes, even if face-to-face is over Zoom, it's my favorite kind of episode. So glad to be back. Although it sounds like we both had great vacations this year and much to talk about. So I'm glad that we're talking more about yours today. It's been a minute, but man, I went back a couple of days ago and just re-listened to that your first and three of your vacay. I was cracking up, remembering you and the line and trying to maneuver around with your Winnie the Pooh stories or issues. So, oh gosh, that was hilarious.
Yeah, new definition for Pooh Bear in it. Yeah, if you don't know what Pooh Bearing is or Donald Ducking, it's walking around with only a shirt on.
Which, if any of you are watching on YouTube, it's possible that we're Pooh Bearing or Donald Ducking right now because you can only really see from like chest up for us.
Yeah. So I plead the fifth there. So we are going to get into kind of the middle part of our trip. So we've already covered our arrival and our first day at Magic Kingdom. Then we did a pool day, Hollywood Studios, pool day, Animal Kingdom, then started our trek home. So we're going to cover pool day 1 and our day at Hollywood Studios today. And as a refresher, we stayed at Port Orleans, Riverside. And I've stayed, I think this was my third time to stay Riverside. I may have stayed French Quarter when I was a kid. I can't remember. But stayed in Port Orleans. I love it. It's not a deluxe. It's not a value. It's a moderate. So it's right in the middle, which means it's a little less kiddie themed. The theming is still Disney, but it's a little more elegant. As you pay more, as you move up from value to moderate to deluxe, you get more elegant theming.
Yeah, I tend to think of all the, like, as you move up the pricing structure, it's just, if you've got little ones, you got to keep them away from touching things in the lobby. The more expensive you go, you're like, no, don't touch. Yeah.
So we stayed Riverside. It's basically two resorts smashed right next to each other. And so we have access to French Quarter. So by the way, I think I mentioned it last time. I'm getting up in the mornings, running over to French Quarter because their little food court area has Mickey-shaped beignets. So I'd get some beignets for us with strawberry and chocolate dipping sauces. Oh, so good. I want to go back right now just to eat. I just want to go back and eat. Pick up a coffee for my wife and then make it. I mean, it's a 3-minute drive, I think, from one side to the other. So pool day 1, we went to the French Quarter pool. This thing is amazing. It's got a splash pad, which is kind of where we set up shop. Neither one of the boys wanted to do anything really on the splash pad. Now they're 3.5 and 1.5. And so the shock of getting splashed by the big bucket that dumps.
Yeah.
Not really their style. The bigger pool, I mean, it's quite large. It's got a bridge over it. And I mean, it's just, I guess just kind of a viewing bridge. There's nothing up there. But it goes over. So one, that creates some shade in the pool. And so part of the time I took one of the boys and would hang out in the shade so that we're not getting direct sun. Loved that about this pool. There's also a water slide. It's pretty tame. So my oldest, who's 3.5, first would go up there and mom or dad would go down first. And then we'd turn around and catch him when he came down. It's got a little light that tells you, green light tells you when to go. And then I said, hey, do you want to try it on your own? So he climbs up the stairs, and he can't see us when he's climbing up the stairs and going around because we're down at the end of the slide. But he's like, yeah, I'll try it on my own. He did this slide. It felt like 100 times, but it was just continuous for an hour or two that he was just going.
Oh
And,
gosh, that's awesome.
so absolutely loved that, and had lunch there. They've got a little bar, and they've got pre-made sandwiches. I think we had a pre-made salad as well. But it's just easy to access that. So there is food there that you can get. They had all sorts of activities. They had like kids trivia. They were doing tie-dye shirts. That was a fee, but you could do like Mickey tie-dyed shirts or something. So they had stuff going on.
That's cool.
They also had life jackets there at the pool. So my oldest is in swim lessons, but he's not swimming on his own. So we just put a life jacket on him, and he was great.
That's one of those things that I've really appreciated about Disney. Again, remembering back about 10 or so years ago when my kids were closer to your kids' age, and doing that same thing, it felt so nice to feel like that once we're at that pool, we're kind of taken care of. Like any of those things that popped in our head that we would need, like a life jacket or a towel or those types of things, were provided. And man, that was so nice. And then also, again, thinking of my two resorts kind of on top of each other when we did the Yacht and Beach Club.
Same kind of thing.
Similar thing. And then the poolside bar or the poolside eatery kind of thing just made it so convenient. And it was we were able to do the dining plan way back when, before COVID pushed pause on all of that. And it was just so nice and convenient to just go and just pick out a few kind of pre-made items or a nice little hoagie or something like that, instead of getting everybody out, getting them all dry, getting them into some sort of dry clothing, and then going to eat and then trying to come back. It's nice to have everything right there, so you could stay as long as you want or as short as you want.
By the way, did you hear that dining plans are coming back?
Yeah.
So
thanks to you on the May Newswire, that's where I was informed. So I was very excited to hear that when I listened to the episode. So
yeah. So I believe you can get them for vacation starting like second week of January, I think.
Okay.
So still some time, and we'll see what's changed. But anyways, getting back to pool stuff. So we ate lunch, then and we had driven from our room on Riverside over to French Quarter Pool. And so my wife took our youngest back for nap time. I said, we'll just walk. It's not a terrible walk. So she took the youngest one back. I walked with my oldest back, and it was about a 25-minute walk. And he was not interested in eating anything more. I think I said, hey, leave us a bag of chips or something. He wasn't interested in eating more. We didn't need the toys. We didn't need anything but a towel and, hat and shirt, whatever. And so when he was ready to go, we just started walking. He walked as far as he could, and then he hopped on my shoulders and rode for a bit. And 25 minutes wasn't bad. There's a sidewalk that goes kind of along the river, so we got to see the boats that are going to Disney Springs and different places.
Cool.
So that was fun, and it's picturesque. So pool day, I still got 13,000 steps.
Wow.
And
dang.
And really the only big walk was that 25 minute walk back to the hotel room. I'm trying to remember what we did for dinner. I think we went to Disney Springs, because I don't think we ate like a meal we didn't eat a meal at the food court that day. But that was pool day one. So even as a quote rest day, I still walked quite a bit. The boys were in the pool, the oldest swimming. I mean, that'll wear you out.
Yeah.
But did try to get to bed earlier because at this point he's already feeling pretty wiped. So go to bed. Next day, it's just more beignets. Just whenever they're ready to get up and get going, we head to Hollywood Studios. And
Can I ask you one quick question on the
yeah,
pool day before we move on? Just
yeah,
out of curiosity, like one of our favorite things that we've talked about ad nauseum for 10 plus years now is how much we love the way that Disney pays attention to all the little details.
yeah.
And so the theming of all the different resorts you and I have geeked out over on our travels across country and everything. And so you and I pay attention to a lot of that. I'm wondering with your kids and the age that they were, did it seem magical to them being around the surroundings at Port Orleans Riverside or the other the French Quarter at the pool, or was it just like I'm just paying attention to the water? That's all I want to pay attention to, and I'm going for that. Did they have any kind of inclination that they were in those surroundings, or did they just enjoy the fact that they were at the pool?
So my oldest still talks about the dragon slide.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So he remembers that, you know, it's that Mardi Gras kind of dragon looking thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he picked up on a lot more of the details, not to the extent that we would,
Yeah. Sure.
but yeah, I think he felt the magic, although he wouldn't be able to explain why it felt so magical.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. That's kind of the way that my kids were around that age too. They loved being there, and they were just so, it was like they were constantly on some sort of sugar drip. They, constant hyper, running all over the place and enjoying themselves. But I think that if we had done it in a concrete block building, that they would have probably enjoyed it as much,
Yeah,
at least for that, because they were just focused on, I want to go to whatever and have fun, not necessarily like, whoa, magically in these surroundings or whatever. They just were enjoying it all. So I'm just curious how
yeah,
your two looked at that. Okay, curious.
yeah.
Cool.
So then we head over to Hollywood Studios. I think we got there. We're probably getting there around 11 or so. And granted, that feels like 10 o'clock to us
Mm-hmm.
because we're on Central Time, and I'm not about to try to get two young ones to adjust to Eastern Time just so once they get adjusted, it's time to go back.
Yeah. Yeah.
But knowing my boys love the movie Cars so much, we headed first to Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy. So it's hard to find. You have to go in Hollywood Studios, take a right, head towards Tower of Terror. When you get there, you take a left and head to Rock and Roller Coaster, which was down for refurbishment at the time.
Mm.
Go back and check our episode on what we would do if we reimagineered Rock and Roller Coaster, because it is since reopened, and it basically got new coat of paint from what I can tell. So you head towards Rock and Roller Coaster, take a right, and kind of behind Rock and Roller Coaster is Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy. And just like in Cars 3, you get to see the simulator. Life-size Lightning McQueen comes out. Let's see. I guess Mater's there. I think Cruz Ramirez, who's in Cars 3, was there.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the three main characters. We had a blast. My oldest is just kind of sitting there like this, just looking around, not really sure. But as soon as we got out, he's like, I loved it, which is exactly how I was as a kid. Then from there, we went to Mickey's Runaway Railway.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this was their first trackless thing. It moves along the ground very smooth, although it does kind of jerk side to side a little bit. Our youngest we had to hold on to him tight because he was kind of getting thrown around, but boys loved it. We had lunch at ABC Commissary. I can't say that word.
Commissary. That's
Yeah.
Commissary. I think that's
So,
saying the right word too. Now I'm confused.
so we did mobile order. And once we got it, there were a bunch of people sitting outside. It was very hard to find a table outside, but go inside, and there were plenty of tables to choose from. And so we got a table inside, which is great. We've got the AC going. Had lunch. They saw my wife's birthday thing and said, "Would you like, I don't know if it's a piece of cake or cupcake or what?" And we asked, "Are there any allergens in it?" And it's got nuts, I think. And so we said, "Thank you, we'll pass."
Bummer.
But that was cool. They tried to sprinkle a little magic just for offering. It was still magical.
Yeah, sure.
Then we went over to Toy Story Mania.
I'm following you along, actually, as if you're on YouTube. I'm watching this via Google. I'm like, oh my God.
Just wander around. So Toy Story Mania. And this, I think it was about an hour wait. And another bathroom incident. They wouldn't let my wife hop out of line to take. So just my wife and my oldest were doing this. It was nap time for the younger one, so I was taking him for a little walk. They are in line getting close to board. They won't let them jump out of line, go to the bathroom, and come back and not have to wait in the whole line again. So
that's a bummer.
He tried to hold it, didn't quite make it, but we had change of clothes. But yeah, that was kind of a bummer. It's like, I mean, he's young. We can only do so much, but
especially for in our last episode of your vacation, of how accommodating they were at Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah,
multiple times.
And I think because we had somebody else in line keeping our place.
I see. Okay.
But we made up for that Toy Story Mania later. He still rode it, had a big time. It's a whole lot of fun. But we'll get to that later. So while they're doing that, I know I've got an hour and a half. So I start walking around, and my youngest is asleep. So I've got this big stroller walking around, sleeping baby. And I will put some of these pictures up on the screen if you're watching the YouTube video. I'm walking through, I see a short line for the Star Wars pictures. Like, this is up a little ways with the Millennium Falcon in the background. And I'm like, hey, we paid for Memory Maker. I'm getting my picture taken. So I absolutely did. I went all in, got my picture taken, actually wearing this same Captain America shirt. I know one's Avengers, one's Marvel, one's Star Wars.
How dare you cross universes, cinematic universes?
Yeah, who cares? I haven't seen Star Wars at this point, so I don't know what this shield means. So got those pictures taken, and I texted my wife. I said, "Hey, I did a thing. I got solo pictures done, not like Han Solo, but just solo pictures." And she was like, "Oh my goodness, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen." So I did that. I think I didn't get the blue popcorn until later. I got it that night, which I got to bring the popcorn bucket for the final installment of this trip recap. But yeah, so just walked around Galaxy's Edge, really soaked it in. It is really cool, really immersive. You can't see anything else. You have gone to a galaxy far, far away. I go back, meet them at Toy Story Mania, which Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land are right next to each other. So it made it really convenient to go over there.
Nice.
We get clean clothes on the oldest one, head back to Lightning McQueen Racing Academy. at this point, what did we do for dinner? I can't even remember. But it's starting to get late. I think we ate after that. Then we went to Alien Swirling Saucers, which I mean, I hadn't done a whole lot of research. I thought it was like teacups. It's not. It's basically you are in a trailer connected to a car, and it goes in a big, like several, like two figure eights connected to each other. So you're just kind of going in these big circles, and you're in this trailer just getting flung side to side.
Oh, wow.
So it's a little different than I thought, not having done any research. They had fun. And then my oldest really wanted to go back and do Toy Story Mania. So we went and did that 3 times. Like just, I think it was practically a walk on at this point. It's probably 9:00 at night, 8:00 to them. They're not staying up that late, compared to their bedtime here.
Oh yeah.
So we did that 3 times and just had an absolute blast. And so that's how we shut down Hollywood Studios, is doing one last trip on Toy Story Mania.
Does Toy Story Mania are there similarities between that and the Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin over in Magic Kingdom?
Yes. So in Magic Kingdom at Buzz Lightyear, you are shooting little Z targets.
Yep.
All over the ride. This one, you are in a car, you're wearing 3D glasses, and you pull up to different screens and different targets, like like when the circus comes to town, or not the circus, the fair comes to town, all those fair games
Oh yeah.
where you're shooting targets. You're doing that, and you're shooting basically big paintballs.
Okay.
But it's all virtual, and it is really fun.
Back in the day,
we all
our
had a
kids
blast doing it 3 times in a row.
Man, I bet. Those are some of my favorite moments. If you can wait until the end of the day when everything starts to thin out, and then just go back to your favorite rides and walk right on. Oh man, it's so fun, especially having spent most of the day waiting in lines that could be hours. Even on a good day, they're hours.
Yeah.
So that's so nice. My kids and I, or my kids, had a Wii game back in the day, like a decade ago.
Yeah.
It was essentially Toy Story Mania, but it was just it was some sort of Toy Story carnival gaming kind of thing. But that's kind of how I heard that it was. But never having been on it, I wondered if it was similar to the technology and the winding around, kind of like how Space Ranger Spin is. So that's cool too.
The 3D stuff is great, and it's just a whole lot of fun. Oh, you're using a slingshot, and so instead of pushing a button for the trigger, it's like this small cannon, and you just pull this thing back. And so,
cool.
And so, like, I'm just pulling it back real quick, and my son on some of the games actually had a better accuracy rating than I did. But I think I took pictures of our final scores too. So if I did, they're up on the screen as well. Great day. About the same number of steps as Magic Kingdom on day 1, 22,000 steps.
Gosh, man, that's great.
So that's
22,000.
over 10 miles. That's almost 11 miles, I think.
Yeah. For me, when I use the little Apple Watch and test out how long it is, for me, on average, it's about 2,000 steps per mile.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I average it out. So, man, so are you feeling it, on top of the fact that you're walking all those steps? Often you're either maybe pushing a cart, or you got a kid on your shoulders, or you're dealing with lugging around stuff. Are you exhausted after every evening, or at the end of every evening?
Pretty tired. But we're also taking it slower. So we're doing less things, spending more time eating, finding times to sit down, kind of cool off a little bit. But yeah, your feet are still tired. And weather was about perfect, because I don't think it may have hit 90 one day. But it
Wow.
was just warm enough in the morning that you didn't need long sleeves or a jacket or anything. So it was,
Gotcha.
I can't recommend. Actually, I'm not going to recommend going this week, because I want to keep going during this week, and I don't want anybody else to go.
Yeah, last
So
episode you were talking
do
about how
not
those
go.
cheerleaders.
Do not go the first week of May. Just don't do it.
Right.
But yeah, but yeah, still the achy feet.
Yeah.
But not as intense as, I guess my tiredness is also coming from kids who don't sleep great through the night.
Yeah.
That's the biggest part.
Yeah. Well, it is good that you have all of this. Literally, you're training, literally, all these steps, and you've got tired kids. You're having to deal with all these elements because, as far as I know, the vacation, I'm loving hearing about all of your vacation. But as much as that, your training to become a Jedi has commenced as well. So whether physically or mentally preparing yourself with watching all of this archival Jedi footage, it's time for Bradley to become a Jedi.
Bradley becomes a Jedi.
There's one. Set for stun.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Okay, so I reviewed New Hope after the first trip recap. Then I had some solo episodes. You've had a solo episode or two. I can't it's been a while. And then now we're back together. So Empire Strikes Back. Here are my notes on the second Star Wars movie that I've seen that I remember anything about. First thing, Vader's still not in charge. I really thought he was the one. I thought he was it. He is the villain. Nobody, he's not reporting to anybody. No. And even when in A New Hope, the guy who I thought was his boss got blown up in the Death Star. Vader's still talking to somebody else, reporting to them. Then Yoda is on the screen for about 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
He and Obi-Wan, I definitely thought they had bigger roles. I mean, I know that they're bigger. I thought they definitely had more screen time.
Right.
But
yeah.
Obi-Wan just disappeared. Now Yoda's, I don't know. I still feel like this story is also slow. It's dragging. Watching it in 2023, where, I get that attention spans are shorter. I don't know. It just feels slow for kind of a semi-action movie, I guess.
Yeah, I agree, and I know that we will talk about the entirety of the main movies, like the Skywalker series. Eventually, we'll be able to look at all of them. But it is interesting how, when you look at the ones done in the late '70s or the early to mid '80s, how slow they are. But then I think, as I think maybe you've seen a few of the prequels now. Is that right? Not that we're going to talk about them here, but you've at least started down that path a little bit.
So I've also watched Return of the Jedi. I wanted to get through kind of these three, talking about them before I go and watch the next ones. I've also
good.
I've had a lot of other things that I need to watch on Disney Plus. So it's also good. There's and even since what I've been watching, my last one, so much good stuff. So,
but yes, to agree with you, it's wild how slow they do seem, even for action movies. There is a lot of action interspersed in there, but a lot of character or plot development points that they take a while. And again, maybe it's an attention span thing that we now look on them as so slow, but it does seem like they could have tightened things up if they wished to. Which I don't think George Lucas really cared to do anything other than tell the story the way he wanted to, which I'm not complaining about. It is slow.
Yeah, I mean, he was making money. It's like, why If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So also, so Obi-Wan and Yoda knew that Darth Vader was Luke's dad
Mhm.
and Leia's dad. Did seriously nobody else know? Like, I mean, I guess if they were so young that they don't even remember each other,
Mhm.
but and maybe they just killed off everybody else that knew. But it kind of blows my mind that I don't know.
Okay,
I
so
feel like
again,
Darth Vader would have said something.
yeah. So it's so interesting to me. The questions you're asking are perfect because certain of the things you asked on your last recap of episode 4, A New Hope, and now what you're asking here, many of those questions will be answered. Many of those characters that you're like, why in the world? Uh, I thought these were iconic characters in the Star Wars universe. How come I'm only seeing them a little bit? I think that those will be satisfied to some degree in time. But man, it's so cool to see all of this new through your eyes. Because again, I've been watching them since I was a little kid. My best friend growing up was a huge Star Wars nut, way more than my family. So it was almost mandatory that when I went over to his house, we watched those movies, even when I didn't really get it or fall in love with the universe or the lore or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Man, I watched especially Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I've probably seen those maybe 100 times, but I don't remember them as much because I'm just like wrestling in the background as it's always playing on VHS in the 80s growing up. But you're asking the exact perfect questions. And that one, I think that will be satisfied for you in time. And again, I'm trying so hard not to go like, oh, you'll get to Act 2 in episode 9 and you'll know everything.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil all those for you so you can kind of like see it all unfold. But I think that you're asking the right questions and on the right track there. Great question.
Well, yeah, so many things. It's like just doesn't quite line up. Also, this was the first time that I heard Leia's name pronounced Leia and not what did I'm looking back at my notes. Leah. Like in
yes.
In A New Hope, it's pronounced Leah. Now it's pronounced Leia, and I don't think it was pronounced Leia until like halfway through the movie or more. And my final thought on Empire Strikes Back, and we can keep talking about it a little bit, but Stormtrooper accuracy definitely ain't as good as what Obi-Wan said.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't hit the broadside, and I know this is the joke.
Yeah.
But in the first movie, early on, Stormtrooper's accuracy is bad. Is there anybody worse? How is the sand people?
Can they see through those masks? They're just like shooting blasters all around trying to get somebody.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. What's funny in some of these things, it is now, it's as if like the hardcore Star Wars fans went in and like, we want all of this lore, all of these backstories to really match up. And I don't know that when George Lucas wrote and directed the first Star Wars: A New Hope, that he even knew how things would maybe line up, because there are certain things that are happening that just are head scratchers if you're just watching them for the first time. And I don't know that we mentioned this in the last episode, but like A New Hope, there is kind of a vibe, or maybe it's just in the episode that you're watching right now. There's kind of a vibe of like, are Leia and Luke kind of an item? Like, is there sort of something going on there? Because it just feels weird in their relationship. So in my mind, I don't know that George Lucas even knew, or maybe he did, and it was just confusing, that they were related when the New Hope came out. So
yeah,
good fodder for future chats about this as the universe and all of the storylines start to unfold for you.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited.
So when we do part 3, I'll have my review, Return of the Jedi. I have seen it, but I'm not gonna give any of my thoughts away there.
Good call. Good call.
Yeah, becoming a Jedi is nothing like I thought it would be.
Much like Luke, it is very different than he thought it would be.
Oh man, it is so different. But hey, I'm going through it. Galaxy's Edge was cool. Hope you enjoyed those pictures. I had no idea what I was doing. What is this hunk of junk behind me? But yeah, I did it for your enjoyment. So
Awesome.
Hey, what do you think? Go back and watch Empire Strikes Back. Watch it in the mindset of, okay, what would I think about this if I saw it for the first time today in 2023?
Yeah.
Tell me I'm not wrong. I mean, I'm not knocking
I'm not
anybody
going
for loving it. I get it. Space travel, it's cool. Lasers, lightsabers, what I feel like there are just so many holes in this.
Perfect. So now day 2 and 3 of your vacation are wrapped.
Yeah.
Episode 5 was actually the second movie that came out, is now in the books too. I'm loving you recounting not only your experiences in the park, but your experiences getting used to the Star Wars universe. This is awesome.
Yeah. I've got a lot more Star Wars to watch. And I don't even want to think about it. But don't forget to find us on the galaxy not so far away, the galaxy at your fingertips, social media at the Mouse and Men, online at themouseandmen.com. And as we say in the galaxy of the Mouse and Men, you don't want to grow up too fast.
But you gotta keep exploring.
Sweet.
Awesome.
I will send this to you in a little bit. That was awesome.
Dude. Cool. Yeah, and hey, as a reminder, I will post that Little Mermaid review for 3 days ago's episode, and then this one will be this coming Tuesdays.
Perfect. So just send me video or audio. Either's fine, because I can put a picture to it, and I will get it posted on YouTube for your Little Mermaid stuff.
Cool, buddy. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. I'll see you.
All right, talk to you soon, and I'll send you that stuff.
Thanks, sir.